opinions are always carefully reasoned, tethered to precedent, and demonstrate respect for how the law impacts everyday people.
I can only hope that my life and career, my love of this country and the Constitution, and my commitment to upholding the rule of law and the sacred principles upon which this great nation was founded will inspire future generations.
And if she is confirmed by the U.S. Senate, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will become the 116th Associate Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Let's talk about this historic nomination with Gloria Browne Marshall, author and professor of constitutional law at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Professor, good to see you.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. And President Biden kept his promise and nominated the first Black woman to the highest court in the land. Tell us about Judge Brown Jackson's career.
Well, it's very interesting that she is on the appellate court in the D.C. area, the D.C. Circuit, which is, they say, outside of our Second Circuit Court of Appeals, the most powerful circuit in the country. She has a background in Yale Law School, and she's extraordinary in that she has clerked for Justice Breyer, the person she is fated to replace. She's also been a public defender, which is very unusual. Usually these justices have come from very cloistered backgrounds, but she wanted to be with the people. And so a public defender makes very little money. They defend people who are accused of crimes who cannot afford to represent themselves. And she also has a father who went to law school later on in life, and a relative, one who was incarcerated, an uncle, and another, in law enforcement. So she has a different background than anyone else who's been nominated for the high court.
During her remarks today, she talked about that uncle who she said got caught up in the drug trade. I wonder why she felt a need to even mention that.
Well, it's also been talked about. And so I know about it and others. So I think it's, one thing a lawyer does, if you know something is out there, it's better for you to raise it than have it thrown in your face. I think it brings a more humbling approach to her as an accessible person, someone other people can relate to. In a nation that is 5% of the world's population and 25% of the incarcerated world's population, we know people who are incarcerated. And so it's something that allows her to be seen as more of a human being, but also because she worked for the Sentencing Commission, it was something that says, I need to know what's behind all of these criminal justice statistics because it involves her family members and so many others.
And by the way, President Obama commuted her uncle's life sentence. Now, the next step, of course, she has to go through the confirmation process with the U.S. Senate. This is not her first time to this rodeo. She's gone through this twice before. Tell us, Professor Browne Marshall, what can we expect during her Senate confirmation hearings?
Well, it's already gotten ugly. We know that she doesn't have obvious meat to throw to the lions, but they're still trying to characterize her as this liberal who's like so extreme. And I think that it's very difficult given her decisions to find this, but she is the one who rebuffed Donald Trump and told him that he's a president and not a king. So that will be used against her. But also we know that we have these former nominees who were vetted through the most conservative wing, the Federalist Society and other organizations that told the president basically these are safe for conservatives to believe in because they're going to be anti-abortion rights, they're going to undermine voting rights. And so to have these same people say, oh, this person is somebody who's already been vetted to be extremely liberal, of course is not only like disingenuous, but it's just a way to stir the water and taint her before she gets in the position.
Well, I hope that she's strong enough to deal with what's about to happen. It seems like she's been through it before. Hopefully she'll stand the test. If she's confirmed, Professor, she will be the 116th justice. It took this long for a Black woman to be nominated to the highest court in the land. Why do you think that is?
Well, because there's been so much to undermine what should be a natural progression. Think about it. The first Black female attorney was in 1872, not 19, 1872. And that was Charlotte Ray. And so we had our first Black judge right here, Black female judge. And she was Jane Bolin in 1939. And of course, Constance Baker Motley in 1966. And so you think about how the progress would have been natural for her to ascend to this bench, but for people undermining the ability of a Black female intellectual. And that's what we have here that's special. For a person to ascend to the highest court, they must be of the highest intellect. And she, as a Black woman with so many obstacles, is not just someone who's ready, willing, and able, but an intellectual of the highest order.
Professor Gloria Browne Marshall of John Jay College, we appreciate your time tonight.